Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from southern Tasmania. I'm here in my craft room today just to do a quick video, basically showing you how to do this really cute easel card, which I popped up on a demonstrator website recently and got such a wonderful response to. I thought I'd better get on and show you all how to do it just before it's too late. Anyway, just checking my iPad's working. Bear with me for a second. Yep, it seems to be up to date and ready to go. So I'm going to, as I say, do this little easel card for you, just show you the angle on the easel there. It just gives you an idea of how the whole thing holds together. I'm not going to actually use this designer series paper, because I do actually want to do this card as part of a class and I only have limited amounts of this particular design. So I'm going to use one that's just as pretty, but not quite as bright. So I'll leave the paper I have left for my class ladies next month. Anyway, what I'm going to be using is the jar of flowers. Now this is a new stamp set that has just come from Stampin' Up in the 2020-21 annual catalogue. It's really sweet. It has no sentiments, so you can mix and match whatever favourite sentiments you've got. We've got some really cute jars. We've also got some, like a half jar there, and we've got some lovely bouquets. So they're all around a particular theme of flower. We've got some sunflowers. This one's got some tulips in it. This looks like a rose. This one looks like a general posy with lots of different things in there. So, and the good thing about it is that especially for beginners, it comes with a punch in a bundle. And I've just got to find my punch. It's wandered off. Where are you, punch? I'm going to need it too. Here it is. Comes with a punch in a bundle, so there's no mucking around with fussy cutting or with die cutting machines. You basically have your jar here and you can punch it out as many times as you want. Punches are really awesome, really awesome things. Anyway, so I'll pop that aside for the moment and let's get crafting. I've cut everything out beforehand, so I'll just run you through what I have. So the basic easel, and you'll find a million of these on Facebook, just on Pinterest and Instagram and things like that. The basic easel is a piece of cardstock cut lengthways. So this one is 11.5 long by 4 1/8 deep wide. I've scored it in the middle, which would be 5 3/4, and then half again this distance here, so that would be 2 7/8, and that is, you can see, that is the sort of easel base part of our mechanism. Then we've got another piece of cardstock that's just cut straight 5 3/4 by 4 1/8, so it fits pretty much perfectly, you can see, on that closed thing there. So it's basically that sort of size. So that's basically your easel. This particular cardstock that I'm using is the new in colour for 2020-22 for Stampin' Up. It's actually called Just Jade, and it's absolutely glorious. The one on the original one, this really bright colour here, is also a new in colour, and it's called Magnificent Magenta, I think. Hang on. I should know this, shouldn't I? This is called Magenta Madness. Sorry about that. Magenta Madness. All the M's that get me. Magenta Madness, and it's like so bright. That's really lovely. Anyway, so let's start crafting. So as I say, I've got my base here, and I'm just going to start decorating that up. So on the original card, as you can see, and I think what part of the popularity was that it has these two white embossed panels either side, so hopefully you can see those on either side there. And that is a new embossing folder from Stampin' Up. Comes in a little double pack with another one, and they're actually little mini embossing folders, or smaller ones, because Stampin' Up are introducing a mini die cutting machine. So that we'll have our big one, our big normal one, but we'll also have a little small one as well, which would be great for travelling and classes and things like that. So we have starting to introduce some of these little half-size embossing folders, which are perfect for that smaller machine. So this one has a lovely sort of leaf pattern on it, sort of a repeating leaf pattern. And the other one, which I haven't got handy at the moment, has a sort of a more of a scene, has leaves cascading down the side with a blank space in the middle. So we'll do a video with that one fairly shortly, I'm sure. Okay, so we've got this one. So what I've done is, as you can see, it's a fair bit narrower than my card base. So popping a single piece of cardstock through that wouldn't give me the width that I want. So what I've actually done is cut myself 2 pieces of cardstock, and they are the just a tiny bit shorter than my card base and as wide as the embossing folder, as wide as I could get. So what I'm going to do is cut those in half, separate them, and pop the designer series paper in the middle to cover the gap, which is just as nice. No one will know. Okay, so let's get decorating this. I'm just going to bring in my trimmer, which is tottering on the edge of falling over here. Just bring in my trimmer and trim, and it doesn't have to be exactly halfway, probably about inch and a half sort of thing would be roughly halfway, or maybe closer to 1 3/4. Okay, so just roughly in half, and the same, I'll do the other one while I've got my trimmer here. Okay, so we've got 4 narrow pieces of embossed Whisper White cardstock. What I'm going to then do is bring back in that this is my base of my easel, and as you can see, I'm going to pop those either side of the card. I'm just going to glue those down. Fair bit of glue, excuse my sniff, fair bit of glue because it is an embossed surface, so you need to make sure you've got plenty of glue in the right places. So just leaving a very small gap, top and bottom and side, and then the same with the other one. Try and line them up at the bottom so that at least you're going to get the appearance of a continual piece of cardstock. Okay, then I'm going to bring in this designer series paper here. This one has got some beautiful sunflowers, and I thought that since I was going to use sunflowers in my bouquet, I'd use sunflowers in my, excuse me, a little bit of a glue, excuse my wobbling, a little bit of a glue smudge there. I'll just get it off with my rubber. Okay, so I've just got a tiny bit of Whisper White, so it's 2 inches wide and it's the same length, so it would be 5 5/8 long, just to fit the same length as our embossed paper there. So that's just going to sit snugly just there in the centre of that and hide our gap. So as centered as you can. Yep, and straight up. So I find it's handy with these sort of embossing folders, you can follow the edge, so that leaf edge there, I'm following that up on both sides. That's assuming you've embossed it straight. So there's the bottom, there's the base of our card, our easel card, all done there. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this single piece. I'm just going to glue those on. And this is the part that you'd think of as actually being, I suppose, being the easel, the display part of an easel, which will be the display part of our card. So same top and bottom, same side if you can. There we are, just so it looks like one continuous piece. And then I'm going to bring in my beautiful daisies here as well. So we've got some beautiful new in colours for 2020-22, including this beautiful green, this Just Jade. We've also got a really lovely blue, which is sort of a soft, what would you call it, soft sort of smoky blue, which is called Midnight. Oh, all these names have gone out of my head. Misty Moonlight, and that's this one here, which is really, really nice. So it's a softer sort of smoky blue. And we've got a cinnamon, which they're calling cinnamon cider, which is sort of a brown sort of colour. The magenta you've already seen, and the bumblebee, they have one called Bumblebee, which is the yellow that you can see in those daisies. So yes, some lovely colours, a bit different, a bit unusual this year, but they are growing on me. Okay, so I've got that top one decorated as well. So I'm just going to stick the bottom half of this one to this little fold here on my easel. And this is probably the only tricky bit with an easel. You just want to pop your glue on that surface there. Line it up with your little display piece. The glue's gone a bit funny there. I'll bring in a wipe and just glue that down. So line it all up so that it sits flat and it lines up, all edges line up with each other. And then just glue that down. So I've just got a bit of excess glue there. There we are. Okay, so that is fundamentally our easel card there. Just like that. Just score that a little bit sharper. So it sits down properly there. Okay, so there's our easel. Just like that. So now we do the fun bit. Well, the other fun bit is actually decorating it. So what I'm going to do is a little bit different from the first ones. This is the original one that got so much love on the demonstrator site. It's got some beautiful tulips and some other spray flowers there, something that I sort of took to be like a lavender or a hollyhock or something. So I'm going to use the different one this time. I'm going to use the sunflowers, because I'm right into the sunflowers at the moment. You've seen my other posts. So I'm going to use the sunflower one. And because it's more of a, you can see it's more of a round bunch of flowers, whereas this tulip one is longer, more oval. I'm actually going to use a round background for this one, as opposed to the oval that I used here. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so I've got my stamp all locked up here, and I've got a whisper white circle that I've already die cut out, and I'm going to stamp directly on that. So because it's a photopolymer stamp, I've got my foam mat out just to help it stamp more completely, get a better coverage of the ink. But you can use a silicone mat or anything like that just to soften it a little bit. So you can tell with this one that there is a natural bottom, there's a natural base, which is down around here, sort of at the bottom of that second lower sunflower. So just line that up with our circle. Try not to go over the edge. And stamp that. Oh, off you come. Okay, so that's really good. Okay, so we've got ourselves a stamped circle. I'm going to colour this in with blends, so just bear with me for a minute. I have got one coloured ready to go, but I'm not overly happy with it, so I thought I'd do another one. So I'm going to use, we haven't got blends or inks to go with these new ink colours yet, but a very close thing to this yellow are the blends in the dark and light Mango Melody. So I'm going to use those on the sunflowers. So I'm going to get the dark one and just colour the parts of the flower closest to the centre, because that's obviously where the shadows would be, and where a lot of flowers are darker around the centres. So I'm going to use a blend these in with the lighter in a second. And just the dark mango all the way around, and then on the third one. Forgive that if it's wobbling a little bit. As I've mentioned on previous videos, my house, the floor in this part of the house is like a bit of a trampoline. It tends to wobble terribly. Until my children leave home, I'm stuck in here. So we have to put up with it. Sorry if it makes you seasick. Okay, so I'm just going to blend in that dark with some light. And when you're blending with our beautiful blends, you just go over the edges a few times, maybe using a sort of a very soft circular motion, and that will blend the light, or the dark, into the light for a beautiful sort of 3D effect, a beautiful shaded effect. They really are the best things. You really don't need an excuse for a grown-up colouring when you've got such beautiful colours and products. Okay, so I'm just doing this second one. If you're getting bored, just scroll through. We'll be finished soon. Oh, and the last one. My iPad just gave me a very, very weird question. I'm not really sure what's going on, a really weird warning, so I hope I'm actually still recording. Assuming I am. Okay, so these sunflowers are going to be quite bright compared to some of the previous projects I've done, which have been more earthy, but I think that's okay. You need a bit of bright, especially how the world is at the moment. So there we are, we have our sunflowers done. We can see that dark is sort of blending in beautifully to the light colour. Up here we have this really beautiful sort of distinctive looking bloom here, and for the life of me I tried to Google it. I couldn't remember what they were called, but they're quite sort of a bristly, prickly flower, and I know that somebody in my family had them in their garden, but I can't remember what they were called, so I will find out one day. Anyway, they've got quite a distinctive centre, quite a distinctive colourful stamen sort of in between in the middle of them. So I'm using the dark and light Rococo Rose for that, and I've got the dark on there already, and I'll just blend in the light just so that little top part of that is catching a bit of light from the sun. Okay, so it's got some rather spiky leaves around the back of it, so I'm going to do that just in, not that end, in dark Old Olive. My husband's usually the one who knows all the flower names, because I think he did botany at uni for a while, so I might ask him what it's called. Unless you know, and then pop it in the comments for me, that would be great. As soon as I see it, I'm going to know it. I just know I am. I'm just going to do these leaves. They're quite spiky, quite almost cactus looking. There we go. Okay, so I'm also going to assume that this piece in here coming up the side is also a leaf, or sort of a fern leaf. I'm doing that in light Old Olive, just come that, and I'm going to also do these little tiny sprays of leaves coming off to the side in Old Olive as well. Just realised I've missed a piece of that sunflower just down here. There we go. Then we've got this really pretty little flower here and a couple of buds up to the left. So I was going to do the little flower in red, but I might do it in Highland Heather instead. I'm just going to pop this one in Highland Heather. I might bring in some dark into the centre. And then blend it. That's done. And then I'll leave some red. Got to have some red. I'll just make these little buds, little ones here, red. And that is Poppy Parade. Okay, wow. Oh, and I forgot the centres. So the centres of our sunflowers, I'm going to use dark crumb cake. just for those. Right. Okay, so that's our flowers all coloured in. Hopefully you like those. There we go. That's in my camera. Oh, you can see my head there. Apologies, you can see my head there. So there's our flowers all coloured in. Just make sure I've got that in the right position for you to see. Okay, cool. Alright, so what we're going to do next is stamp and cut out our little jar. So I've got a scrap of Whisper White here, and I'll bring in the stamp set. So here we have a full-size jar and a half jar, which is quite cute. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp that in black as well, just for the outline. And I won't colour this in because I've already got one coloured. I just want to show you how easy it is to use the punch. So we've got our jar there. We also have a stamp that has some stems, some stalks. So I'm going to use, in the final one, I've got that stamped as well. I'll just bring in the punch and I'll just show you how easy this punch is. You just position your jar smack bang in the middle and punch, and there you are, you're done. No mucking around, just completed, ready to go. Okay, so I have got one that I did earlier, so you don't have to sit and watch me doing more colouring in. So what I've done with this one is, forgive the ribbon, is I've stamped those stems inside, as you can see. I've coloured those in light old olive, and then I've given it some water or some sort of a background there, and that is in light mint macaron. So just to give it a sort of a bit of colour there. I've taken a very small piece of our new ribbon, which is a really cute ribbon. It's a Just Jade ribbon. If I put it back up on the thing, it's like a gingham ribbon. I'll find the name of it soon. I'll put it into the product list. It's really, really sweet, and I've got a little bow made from it as well, so you don't have to watch me do the bow. Yay! So I've got that, so you can see where I'm heading with that. That's sort of just covering over the edge of our jar, and then the ribbon will go on top. Okay, so I think we can start putting this together. So I've got the scalloped circle from the layered circle dies, which corresponds with the size of our little white circle there. And I'm just going to, which order's best? I don't suppose it really matters. I'm actually going to attach our, I might attach our, get rid of that, attach our jar first. So I want to put the jar so it just kisses the bottom of our flowers, but not too much. You don't want to cover them over at all. So just going to pop that there. So with just a tiny bit of glue, just at the bottom, it'll come out, and there's no tiny bit about that glue. It came out quite fast. Okay, and just position. So try and line it up so it looks like it's in a straight line, and just pop that down. Does that look like it's in a straight line? Sort of. Oh, not for long. Just pop that there. Double-sided tape might have actually been better than glue in this situation. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in the scalloped circle. Give that a few seconds to dry. I'll just put the glue on there rather than on my circle. Ah, it doesn't want to go. Hang on, I'll put it on here first. I'm just going to line that up with the scalloped circle. Just like that. You just get a very slight hint of that Just Jade around the edge. You are going to have to go there whether you like it or not. Just put that so it looks like it's containing our beautiful flowers. Hold that with my hand for a minute. Okay, so we'll bring back our easel. It might be easier to stick them both on, I think. And then position it so that your jar is probably about 1/2 inch from the bottom. No, that's not going to stick, so I'm going to just stick this one on. I'll stick this on first. Just position it so I've got it in the right place. Apologies about that. Joys of live crafting. So just pop that there. Position it there. Just as close to in the middle as you can. And I might actually bring some dimensionals in for that. If he's not going to behave himself, I'll stick him on dimensionals. Okay, so I haven't got my big one, my large dimensionals at the moment, so I'll just use small ones. Just pop a few around. It might give the jar a little bit of 3D effect anyway, which could be good. Another one in the middle. Now, excuse me, I'm going to have my head in shot again. I just want to get this in the right position and straight. Just up there. There we go. How's that? That's not too bad. It's pretty straight. Okay, so I might bring in my little bow, and that's just going to cover over the bit that's a little bit unsightly in the centre there. Just cover it over with a bow. How many times have I said that? It's alright, cover it over with a bow. And use a glue dot just to put our bow on there. Didn't stick. Having trouble with things sticking where they're not supposed to and not sticking where they're supposed to today. So that one's there. I'll just pop that, just bear with me. Pop that in there. Okay, that's quite good. Quite sweet. What do you think of that? So that's our top of our easel there. Okay, so with an easel you need something to stop it from falling over, and I do have a little stopper here. I've got a layered oval of the Just Jade, and I know I've got a little one of, here we go, a little corresponding oval of Whisper White. And as I say, this stamp set doesn't have any sentiment, so I'm going to bring in the Ornate Thanks set, and I'm going to use the little thanks on here, which I've already checked just fits perfectly in that little white oval there, and I didn't really want it any bigger, so we'll just make sure I'm a bit careful with my placement. And I'm just going to do that in black. Can be careful with my placement today. Doesn't seem to be the day for it, does it? So just bear with me. I'm going to bring my head back in again, probably. I don't want to go off the edge too much. That's not too bad. There you go. Probably not the best sentiment for this, but you get the idea. Okay, so I'm just going to layer that up. I'm actually going to pop the scalloped circle directly onto our easel, and I'm going to stick the sentiment itself, the Whisper White, up on dimensionals, and that just helps it stop your card from falling over. So you get it into a position you're happy with. Just hopefully you can see that. Get it into a position you're happy with, so you want it to stand up like that. Just imagine that that's where your stopper has to go to stop it from falling forward, and position it like that. So you want it quite high and you want it quite straight. There we go. So that's where my base is, and I'm going to pop in my dimensionals again. So I have to find my large ones. They're around here somewhere. Just pop, I might pop 3 of these smaller ones across the centre. just like that. And this just gives you a bit of extra height to stop your card from falling over when it's on display. There we go. We'll pop that there. Okay, so there you are. As you can see, that now is not going to fall over when it's up on the shelf with your lucky recipient. Okay, so just a couple more things, maybe some bling. We all like some bling. Make sure I actually kept my bling. I was going to just use silver rhinestones, which is I popped away, forgive me. Here we are. So just the basic rhinestone jewels here. And finally they open. Now, close it down. Grab my pick tool, my take your pick tool, and just going to pop a couple of rhinestones around that little flower. I usually have to have a bit of an experiment with my rhinestones. I'm not a natural embellisher by any stretch, so it's usually a bit of trial and error. There we go. That's okay. Bling is bling. Okay, so there is our easel card. All done. So it's a bit hard to show easel cards in videos, but basically there it is. I'll take a picture and use it for the thumbnail. There is our new one that features the Just Jade and the daffodil, the sunflowers. And here is our original, the popular, really popular one from my post before, which is in the beautiful magenta cardstock, and yes, beautiful magenta cardstock, and the red tulips. So hopefully you like both of those and give them a go. I'd love to see what you come up with when you do. So please don't be afraid to pop stuff on my business page. Great, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when I next go live. So great that you're with me. Stay tuned for more from the new 2021 catalogue. There's lots and lots to bring you over the next few months, so it's exciting times. Anyway, so thanks again. If you need to know, if you want to know anything about Stampin' Up or card making, just drop me a line or pop something in the comments and I will be happy to get back to you. Okay, so have a great week, and I'll catch you all later.